Hi guys, hope you're well, taking care of yourselves and getting the most out of life. Welcome back to the channel. In this video we're going to just talk about my first marathon that I did on Sunday, how it went, just outlining the run in general, my mindset, feelings throughout the run, and we're also just going to talk a little bit at the end about goal setting and how to set yourself the right goal. Let's get into it. Nice, so yeah, did my first marathon this Sunday, so last Sunday. Did it in about 4 hours 5 minutes, which I wasn't really too fussed about the time. I was just kind of setting out to just enjoy it and just to accomplish that distance and just to, you know, complete my first ever marathon. That's really why I was doing it, to gain the experience. Alright, so why did I actually do it then? So why did I, you know, bother running the marathon? Because for my first one, I didn't do it for charity or raising money, which I will do in the future. But yeah, for my first one, I just wanted to keep it nice and grounded for what I wanted to do before running out there, you know, trying to do 100 things and run for charity. And I did have a thought about 2 years ago that I eventually wanted to accomplish a marathon or a distance like this, or even a distance further than this. But I knew, you know, in order to do it in sandals or some kind of minimalist footwear like that, I needed to strengthen my body first, you know, which takes a long time. And this is something I want to talk about, you know, like when we think of something that we want to do or something we want to achieve with not just the body, but in your mind, in your life, in your inner or external world, best way to put it. Like, most of the time it's going to take quite a lot of time, and it's probably going to take longer than you had first anticipated, or at least that's what it was like for me. And I also did I did one 17-mile run and then another 18-mile run, both in the sandals. Pretty much run exclusively in sandals now. In order to condition my body for that marathon mileage. So yeah, and then the other week I just thought, you know, if I don't actually just say to myself, you're doing it next week or you're doing it in 2 weeks, then I'll never feel like I'm ready. And that's something I want to talk about as well. You know, don't wait until you feel like, okay, I'm ready now to do it in terms of something like a big challenge, because when you're challenging yourself like that, for example, you know, just talking from my own experience, talking about this marathon, it was my first one, so I'd never ran past 20 miles, over 18 miles before, so in your mind it's an unknown quantity. So anything for your mind that's unknown, it's a natural protective mechanism for your mind to kind of steer you away from that and just kind of keep you on, you know, what you used to, what you know you can and can't do. So like I said, if I wouldn't have just sat down and thought, you're doing it on next Sunday, you're doing it in 2 weeks, then I never would have done it. So yeah, I knew I just had to set that date, and then that's what I did. So yeah, if you don't just kind of be honest with yourself, hold yourself accountable, and just say, right, I'm just going to do it now on this day, because if I wait anymore, then I'll just keep waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and you'll never actually really get around to it, or you'll maybe do it in another 6 months versus you could have done it next week or tomorrow. So just bear that in mind. And once you actually just start, like with the marathon, once I actually was out the house, after about 5 steps, I already had in my mind, okay, you're going to run the marathon. But the hardest thing is actually just having all your stuff on, or, you know, your shoes on, and just out the door, and then you start. Once you've started, then you've got the ball rolling, then, you know, you're 10 miles from home, how else are you going to get back? You're going to have to run back. So, you know, I knew that I had to just start and get out there. Now I'm just going to talk about what it taught me and what it taught me about goal setting and setting the right kind of goal. So what it taught me then, it taught me that when you're setting a goal, you have to put in place the goal first. Like, you have to actually have a goal, and you know, you think, well, yeah, obviously, but a lot of us don't actually have a goal like that, you know, like a long-term goal. And good advice I heard about goal setting is that it should be, you know, for your long-term goal right now, it should feel like you can't do it. To you know, within reason, it should feel like, you know, can I actually do that? Like, is that, I'm not even sure if I can actually physically do that or mentally do that, you know. It should feel like that kind of big thing there. And that's how it always felt with me with a marathon, even up until, let's say, 6 months ago. And I've, you know, as I was progressing in my running and my barefoot running, I felt like, I still felt, no, I couldn't do a marathon. I still felt like that, but I knew that was good, because that then told me what I needed to do. So it kind of pointed me in that direction, if that makes sense. And what else it taught me was how marginal gains are key. And I'll say that again. Marginal gains are key in order to get you to that long-term goal. Because with setting, so a big mistake people do is they set the short-term goal, they set it too big, and they put too much pressure on themselves to do that thing in a short amount of time, or to do something that's way too big, and then that they're not going to be able to accomplish, or they may accomplish it, but they're going to put so much at it that they're never going to want to do it again, because they've put so much things in it, and time, energy and pain in that short amount of time, just persevered and pushed through it, that once they've done it, it's like, oh, I don't want to do that again, that's horrible, but I don't want to do that again. But that's because you've not laid the foundations in place and set the marginal gains in place first, through time, to then get you to that long-term goal. As you set that short-term goal too far out of reach, and then you're going to put too much pressure on yourself to accomplish that short-term goal in a short amount of time, then often it's going to be unable, you can't sustain it, you know, you can't sustain what you're doing, so you're going to have to stop at some point, and then that feels like what you've given up, and that's not a good feeling, because then you've not lived up to your expectation of yourself, and your self-value and self-worth can decrease. And I'll give you an example. When people say they want to lose a lot of weight in a short amount of time, for example, X amount of weight in 30 days, okay? Then what happens after that? What's going to happen? They're probably going to, yes, you know, I've lost 10 pounds, wow, yeah, that's great. Okay, now let's go out and celebrate now and put it all back on. But you don't just put it all back on, you put it all back on and then some, because you're compensating for what you didn't eat in that 1 month. So with the short-term goal, you've got to set it small, and that's the key. Make it so the short-term goals are actually achievable. For example, again, okay, in a month, right, I'm at this weight now, I want to lose 5 pounds this month, okay? That's actually doable, because it's a more healthy way of doing it, because you're not crashing yourself down, you're not all of a sudden changing your life and doing a U-turn kind of thing, and that's something then that you can actually sustain. Okay, so my ultimate advice for this video then, if we could sum it up, the point I'm trying to make, it would be to set the short-term goals achievable, okay? So set the short-term goals smaller and set the longer-term goals bigger, rather than setting the short-term goals too big, too unachievable, too hard to maintain, and setting the long-term goals too small, or not really even having a long-term goal, because then you'll just keep going in circles. You won't actually develop. And I know everyone's idea of development and progression is different, and it's all relative to each person, but you won't really, as an individual, in terms of what you've done, you won't actually really develop and achieve something and go somewhere. I'm just going to wrap the video up there. I could keep talking and talking and talking, but I'll save it for another video, and I'll save your guys' attention for another video as well. So again, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for the support. Keep moving harmoniously, live your best life, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks, guys.